All right, Shalom. I'd like to start off by saying, Kal Halayim La Yahweh, Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Harakah Kodash, my double honors to the elder apostles of Great Millstone and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the Akim that are pushing the truth and sincerity and truth, and peace and blessings to the men, women, and children that believe in the name of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. All right, I'm Kanak Sa'am by Yasharala for the Lions and the Yasharala camp. And this is Matthew chapter 24, verse 6. It says, And ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled. For all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. All right. So now you're hearing everything going on with Russia and Ukraine. All right. Wars and rumors of wars, and but the end is not yet. So now with that being said, the end is not yet. So that's funny. I'm watching the mailman deliver mail. He pulling out mace for no damn reason, just ready to. Anyway. So because what? Why? Because the MOTB have to be implemented before we get salvation. So but these wars and rumors of wars are signs of what's to come. All right, and this is going into this particular article that I saw. It says why Japan is gearing up for possible war with China. All right, and the reason why it stood out to me is because um from my understanding, after World War II with Article 9, and I'm gonna go into that um, Japan is really not allowed to have a really structured military. So you have to have a pretty serious structured military to go up against China. So what, what I'm saying, why could Japan be possibly, you know, what are they gearing up to go against China and why? All right. So in Matthew chapter 24 verse 7 it says, "For nation shall rise against nation and kingdom against kingdom, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows." All right, so now we're at the beginning. We've been at the beginning for a minute because these wars have been, what I'm saying, um, uh, brewing up for years and years to come, going back 20 years, with the first Gulf War, 25 years with the first Gulf War, um, on all the way to now. Then you have um, Russia and Ukraine. And in my opinion, this whole Japanese China thing is really a proxy war between the United States and China, because of what's going on with the social credit score and things like that, which China's already set up with that, and America's slowly lagging behind. China's economy has already rebounded for the effects of the pandemic. Um, America's lagging slowly behind. So what is that going to do? That's going to bring forth war. All right. So it says the threat of Chinese aggression is producing a quiet revolution in Tokyo's statecraft, and officials are pushing the nation to get ready for a fight. It says this is the second in a series of dispatch from partner nations. The United States will depend on its rivalry and potential war with China. All right. So read part one here and part three on Australia here. Okay. It says if China were to attack Taiwan, it would just have to face a hostile superpower. It would also likely have to confront its long-standing regional rival, Japan. For centuries, Japan and China have veiled for hegemony in East Asia. At times, they have threatened each other's survival. Today, as I found from 3 days of meetings with Japanese officials and analysts in Tokyo, the the threat of Chinese aggression is producing a quiet revolution in Japanese statecraft and pushing the nation to get ready for a fight. For the United States, China is a dangerous but distant challenge. For Japan, China is an existential danger next door. Years before American leaders were proclaiming the return of a great power rivalry, Japanese officials were warning that Beijing was up to no good. As China's capabilities became more formidable, it is conduct its conduct in the Taiwan Strait more menacing, Tokyo's concern grew more acute. It said the weather may have been beautiful when the visit when I visited the capital, but there's very much a sense that storms are on the horizon, right? And you can see that, and that storm is being brewed up. It's being brewed up by Yahweh by Shimon Shai. It says Ukraine today may be East Asia tomorrow. All right, warned Prime Minister Fumio Kishida in June. The same month, some 90% of the Japanese public believed the country should prepare for a Chinese invasion of Taiwan. That was before Chinese leader Xi Jinping re- retracted tensions by firing ballistic missiles into Japanese exclusive economic zone following House Speaker Nancy Pelosi's visit to Taipei. But they said they were going to do something like that when she came along, though. All right, and it says in Tokyo, as in Washington, operations differ regarding when the risk of war will be greatest and even whether Xi would would hazard everything in a high stakes military gamble. Some officials told me that Xi's recent personnel reforms, which include placing a veteran of Chinese last foreign conflict against Vietnam in 1979 and a former commander of Chinese military forces op- opposite Taiwan in two top spots on the Central Military Commission, amount to a creation of a war council. Others counsel that the People's Liberation Army will lack key capabilities necessary to invade Taiwan, such as significant ambiguous landing crafts, for years to come. But there is a little debate that the country must brace for trouble because China's taking Taiwan by force would be disastrous for Japan. If Taiwan fell, the islands of the far southwestern end of Japanese archipelago might become indefensible. China would constrict Japan's vital trade routes, increase the pressure around the dispute Senkaku Islands, and otherwise coerce its historic rival. This is why the Tokyo government has stated as strongly as it can, given Japan's post 1945 aversion to the use of force, that would not stand by while Taiwan was subjugated. All right, and that's what we're going to get into. Is that already a serious regional military power? Japan is moving rapidly to strengthen its capabilities for deterrence and defense. So yeah, that's let me go read further on. It says Japan's plans are nearly double defense spending by 2027. It is turning some of the southwestern islands into strong points studded with anti-ship missiles and air defense. It reportedly has plans to use high-quality submarine fleets to bottle up the Chinese Navy. Tokyo is also moving and acquired American Tomahawk cruise missile and other counter-strike capabilities that could target the Chinese mainland. All right, so now that was the key points using American Tomahawk missiles. So now I want to go into something else because really this is going to be America is going to be equipping Japan to come against China. Slack. All right, let me get this real quick. It says Article 9 of the Japanese Constitution. It says Article 9 is a clause in the National Constitution of Japan outlawing war as a means to settle international disputes involving the states. All right. The Constitution came into effect by May 3rd, 1947, following World War II. In its text, the state formally renounces the sovereign right of belligerency and aims to an international peace based on justice and order. The article also states that to accomplish these aims, armed forces with war potentials will not be maintained. The Constitution was imposed by the occupying United States in the post World War II period. So that's the point I was talking about. So now any type of war front is prohibited. Why all of a sudden now, unless I have the wrong understanding about this, why all of a sudden now is Japan being so heavily equipped to be able to go at war with China? It said, despite this, Japan maintains a Japanese self-defense force, a de facto defense army with only um, strictly offensive weapons like ballistic missiles and nuclear weapons prohibited. So they don't have the artillery, and it's a de facto defense army that doesn't have these offensive weapons like ballistic missiles or nuclear weapons. All right, it says in 2014, instead of using Article 96 of the Japanese Constitution to amend the Constitution itself, the Japanese government approved a reinterpretation which gave more powers to the Japanese self-defense forces, allowing them to defend other allies in case of war being declared upon them, despite concerns of disapproval from China and North Korea, whereas the United States supported the move. Oh, see now this goes all the way back from 2014 when they seen this brewing up when when Russia annexed southern Crimea. It's not a coincidence around 2014 all this happened. And then all right, so it says this change is considered illegitimately by some Chinese political parties and citizens since the prime minister circumvented Japanese constitutional amendment procedure. In September 2015, the Japanese National Diet made the reinterpretation official by enacting a series of laws allowing the Japanese Self-Defense Force to provide material support to allies engaged in combat internationally. The stated justification was that failing to defend or support any ally would weaken alliances and endanger Japan. So is it a coincidence that from 2014 in the Article 96 of Japanese Constitution, all these things were amended and approved by the United States, which is, like it was stated in the article, is Japan is right at the back door of China, where United States is all the way on the other side of the globe. So now this is in my opinion, this is a strategically designed proxy war that the United States is setting up against China through Japan. Just like this is a strategic war with America and NATO against Russia through Ukraine. All right, so now you're gonna have what they're trying to say. What you're gonna have the same thing that happened over with Russia invading Ukraine. They're gonna provoke um, China to invade Taiwan. Therefore, the alliance of these other nations, led by the United States, will be able to make war with China without the finger being pointed at them, just like how the fingers is pointing at Russia. The finger will be pointed at China. So it's just a strategic way of America, in my opinion, to go to war with China, man. All right, but you know what I'm saying? How about Yao Shai is going to destroy them, man? All these nations, man. Let me see. Let me see if I can find the scripture real quick. It's not important, but you know, I mean, I pretty much get the gist of it because all these nations are waging war against each other, and all right, this is Second Ezra 16:1. It says, "Woe be unto thee, Babylon and Asia! Woe be unto thee, Egypt and Syria! Gird up yourselves with clothes of sack and hair. Bewail your children, and be sorry, for your destruction is at hand. A sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it?" All right, so this is all being constructed by Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. See, America thinks they're being strategically, you know what I'm saying, doing all these military strategies and putting their chess pieces in place. All right, but really, America doesn't play chess; they play poker. And these nations, these other nations, are calling America's bluff. So what's happening is you're having this proxy war being set up by America to go against China. They're going to provoke China to invade Taiwan, and then Japan is going to come to that defense, which is going to draw America in. Like the elder made a lesson, a little while ago. Like the least of them shall draw them out. So now all these nations, America is the top one that's going to be drawn into this war. Just like how in World War II they wanted to be drawn into war, so they created Japan as an ally by putting sanctions against them, weakening their economy, creating famines in the land of Japan, which caused them to come and bomb Hawaii, Pearl Harbor. But just so happened that particular day the radar wasn't working, and Japan was able to get through. And you know what I'm saying? So that's what brought America into the war. So America's looking for a way for them to be the keepers of peace, so to speak, like how they try to bring forth liberty and democracy. That's what they come in the name of liberty and democracy and freedom, right? So how if you're all about that, how can you if you're trying to keep peace, how can you start a war? So they're provoking China into a war, and that provocation of war is going to cause China to invade Taiwan, just like how Russia was provoked to invade Ukraine. And this force, America can be entered into the war again, because that's all just like how they did in World War II. All right, and that's all that's to me, in my opinion, this is all this boils down to, man. But Yahweh Shai has a destruction set up for all these nations that he's drawing into the war. All right. Lord willing, this lesson is edifying the servant's purpose. With that, Allah said, Ka halayim la Yahweh, by Hashem Yahweh Shai, by Hashem Harakak Wadash, my Amah. Double honors for the elder apostles, the great millstone, and my elder Herawan as well. Salutations to the argument that are pushing the truth, the sincerity, and truth. And peace and blessing to the men and women and children that believe in the name of Yahweh by Shem Yahweh Shai. Shalom.